Okay, we got Proverbs 25 today. It's 25th day of the month, going through the book of Proverbs in a month. These are more Proverbs of Solomon collected by the advisors of King Hezekiah of Judah. I'm Jerry, by the way, not King Hezekiah, but it's God's privilege to conceal matters and the king's privilege to discover them. No matter, no one can comprehend the height of heavens and the depth of the earth or all that goes on in a king's mind. Or a politician's mind for that matter. How can you figure it all? Remove the impurities from silver, and the sterling will be ready for the silversmith. Remove the wicked from a king's court, and his reign will be made secure by justice. Don't demand an audience with the king or push for a place among the great. It is better to wait for an invitation to the head table than to be sent away in public disgrace. Now, Jesus, Yeshua, when you're invited to a banquet or something, sit in a lesser place and let the master of the banquet say, "Hey, you friend, come on up here," and give you a better seat. Rather than the other way around, jumping to the best seat and have him say, "Excuse me, reserved for somebody else." Go to court for uh, what will you do in the end if your neighbor deals with you in shameful defeat? So, to testify against somebody, you might lose. Avoid court where possible, essentially. This is just wisdom of Proverbs. When arguing, what, me argue with my neighbor? When arguing with your neighbor, don't betray one another's secret. Uh, well, yeah, that could be tempting because you get mad at your neighbor, you go gossip about it, tell a secret, and later on make up with a neighbor, and then another neighbor says, "Hey, Jerry told me so and so." So, try to exercise self-control. This too shall pass. It's a moment of anger or frustration or whatever. When arguing with a neighbor, don't betray another secret. Others may accuse you of gossip, and you will never regain your good reputation. Yeah, if you're known as a gossip, I figure if you talk about Joe, you're going to talk about Jane. So, how can they trust you? Timely advice is lovely, like a golden apple in a silver bucket. Yeah, golden apples and silver buckets. That's been a weird word picture for me. Golden apples and silver buckets. I guess you could have a silver lined bucket and golden apples inside. I never had that before. Maybe that'd be a good item to sell a crate and barrel at the mall. To one who listens, valid criticism is like a gold earring or other gold jewelry. Again, a fool does not take correction. A wise person takes correction and becomes wiser. Pivot is like clouds and wind that bring no rain. You hear the phrase false hope, better not to promise something than to offer false hope. Um, They're expecting it. So why would you lead somebody to get something and later on to pull the rug out from underneath them? You wouldn't like it if somebody did that to you, right? Proverbs are wise and logical and practical. Patience could persuade. I mean, better be patient and read more slowly. Patience can persuade a prince, and a soft speech can break bones. Okay. Rather than trying to come on hard and fast, sometimes it's better just to do a few wise words. Do you like honey? Don't eat too much of it or make you sick. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a teaspoon of honey a day because it fights allergies, but don't have a cup of honey. Don't visit your neighbor's house too often or you will wear out your welcome. Who was it? Benjamin Franklin. He says both fish and company stink after 3 days. Telling lies about others is as harmful as hitting them with an axe. Well, I don't recommend hitting somebody with an axe because this is harmful to telling lies about somebody, but why do we want to tell lies about anybody? I tell the truth about people like Biden, that he lies. He's got horrible policies for the United States. That's telling the truth. Patriots, it's okay to expose evildoers and expose the evil they do. Try not to hate them, forgive them, but expose the evil that they do. We don't hate the evildoer, we hate the evil. Telling lies about others is as harmful as hitting them with an axe, wounding them with a sword, or shooting them with a sharp arrow. Maybe a stun gun or a cruise missile should be in there now because this was written, what, 2,500 years ago or so. Putting confidence in an unreliable person in times of trouble is like chewing a broken bone or walking on a lame foot. No. Founding fathers aside, George Washington had a wooden tooth, we understand. But yeah, I mean, why rely upon unreliable people? Our gut tells us we know. Don't rely on Dick over there. He's just not going to come through for you. He never did before. Not again. Don't kid yourself. Singing cheerful songs to a person with a heavy heart is like taking somebody's coat in cold weather and pouring vinegar into their wound. We don't want to freeze somebody shivering, especially force feeding them vinegar while they're shivering in the cold. That would be bad. That's like you gotta be sensitive. If somebody in the say, "Hey, come on, cheer up, tra la la boomsie," yeah, no. Sometimes you just sympathize with them. You just be there for them. You don't even have to say a word. Sometimes, if your enemies are hungry, give them food to eat. If they're thirsty, give them water to drink. In doing so, what does it do? You're heaping burning coals of shame on their head, and the Lord will reward you. So if somebody does something bad, turn the other cheek, do something good to them, bless them. They'll feel like dirt afterwards and think twice before they do that again, unless they're totally seared and they're conscious and they're totally reprobate. As surely as a north wind brings, I was just describing most politicians, wasn't I? Or some politicians. As surely as a north wind brings rain, so a gossiping tongue causes anger. It's better to live alone in the corner of an attic than with a quarrelsome wife in a lonely home. And I suppose the same thing would go with a quarrelsome husband who nags you all the time. Well, the dinner was too hot. The dinner was too cold. Where's my food? Feed my potbelly. Let's be honest, guys. It's not just a wife that can nag. We can nag too. Good news from a far away is like cold water to thirsty. Don't we all like good news? Let's get some good news today or give it to somebody today. If the godly give in to the wicked, it's like polluting a fountain or muddying a spring. It's not good to eat too much honey. We said this already, but it's repeated. And it's not good to seek honors for yourself. We talked about it too. Don't seek the best table in the banquet if you know there's a possibility the banquet master might tell you to leave for somebody else. So finally, a person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. So we need to exercise self-control. One of the hardest things in life for me is self-control because I get all these thoughts, impulses, want to act on them. A man of action. Are you a man of action? Are you a woman of action? Well, talk to myself first. We should pray for self control and pray for the Holy Spirit to guide us in all our actions, because otherwise we'll just be rambling off like a fool. Hey, speaking of that, I think I've done this long enough. I better not ramble any longer. Thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of it. I usually get more out of this, I think, than anybody else. So I read a proverb a day, keep the devil at bay. Until then,